Well, obviously, yeah, I was involved in two significant motor vehicle accidents when I was 20 years of age, and within 10 months of each other. And I found that it was just a really difficult time post the accidents, and I felt that, there's so many people suffering and so much trauma in our community, and the impact that it had on me personally. And then I knew that some people may not have been privileged to have that support that I had. And but I also got very interested in studying the legislation, the Accident Compensation Act, and there's a significant portion of people who haven't been supported by ACC, and that was those that suffer from the psychological implications of road trauma. So that's when I founded the trust, and it's just thinking more in road trauma sense. I think it's something that people are very ashamed or very embarrassed to talk about. It's not really deemed like the trauma that they experience is not necessarily like a mental illness. It's actually a significant trauma that has happened to them, and it's something that doesn't get spoken about very often, and that's why I wanted to create opportunities for others to sort of, I guess, express, with the Road Accident Remembrance Day in particular, the significant trauma. And
You've been involved in 2 car accidents?
Yes, yeah. Did you want me to tell you a little bit about what happened? Sure. So the first accident, I was 20 years of age. Our family mechanic of 15 years had just passed my tyres for my warrants, which were unwarrantable 2 weeks prior to the accident. And it was late one evening. It was in January and it hailed, and it was settled like snow on the roads. And unfortunately, my car had slid on some black ice, and my car drove around a very tight bend, driving towards a power pole. And I knew that it was going to be a significant crash, so I actually veered my steering wheel and put my foot on the brake, but it actually caused my car to spin continuously up and down the road, and it wouldn't stop. It was like a merry-go-round, and it was really horrific, and I couldn't do anything about it. And then all I could see was it just continuously spinning, and I saw a parked car, a driveway, and a fence, and I just knew that the only way the vehicle will stop is if it crashed into something, and it continuously spun. And then I blacked out. I remember thinking, I'm never going to see my family again, or am I going to end up in ICU? And it was really horrific. And I blacked out, and I woke up, and I didn't know if my arm was attached. I had like the car of this boot over my legs, and the glass everywhere, all throughout the clothes. And it was really horrific experience. And just the trauma. It was just quite.
Was it the physical trauma in this particular accident, or was it the physical injuries you sustained?
I did receive some injuries, but they weren't. I wasn't hospitalised, and the emergency the emergency services said that I was very lucky to have survived, and that they saw the vehicle, and they actually thought that I would be carried out in a stretcher. So they were just very surprised, and so for me, I guess I survived something that some people would otherwise sustain quite significant injuries. And I think for me that was really difficult. Here's this accident I was in, but I was managed to survive, and You
were just playing spin the donkey on something in a car.
Yeah.
So that's one car crashed down.
Yeah.
Number 2 happens in the same year.
Yeah, it did. So it was really unfortunate. I was just, going, life was going really well, and, I was playing sport and doing really, really well in life, and just in a fantastic job, and just about to go flying for the first time. And unfortunately, I was driving through an intersection, and a young girl, she was driving her parents' Range Rover. She just received her restricted driver's license, and when I went through the intersection, it had changed colour, and unfortunately, she panicked, and she drove right through, and her Range Rover drove right into the side of my car, and then once again it hit me on the same side of the impact where my first vehicle was.
At least it's consistent.
Unfortunately, I blacked out, and then that car was also written off, and so it just was really disheartening. You think, why did this happen to me? Like, why 2 in 1 year? And it was really difficult time. And the injuries and constant medical appointments and seeing the physiotherapist, and it just really it's a huge drain on you as a person, and also you're relying so significantly on your support networks and family and friends, and so.
How did you get here today? Do you drive now?
I do drive. I'm mostly fine.
You do drive?
Yeah. No,
well, you're fine then, aren't you? No problem. Good on you. Because when I listen to your story, I think I wouldn't even want to go near a road.
Yeah.
You're here today because your charitable trust has also arranged something that's very important to you called Road Accident Remembrance Day, which is on the 3rd of November at North Hagley Park. That starts at 10:30. What's this all about, and what inspired you to get this event happening in our city?
Sure. So I actually attended an Anzac Memorial service with my father in 2016. It was the first one I'd been to. And I was really impacted, not more what had happened in the ceremony, but the people that were there. And there was a young gentleman that he was crying quite considerably, and I was really touched by that, and I thought, he's so young, but what was the significance for him? And I knew that there were so many people in our community deeply affected by road trauma, and so many people would tell me their stories, and that for me was I guess the push that I needed to just know that we needed to do something more and something similar, and create that platform for others to have that voice, and for those that are deeply suffering, to acknowledge that too. So, and
when you say deeply suffering, you mean all scars, whether that be physical or mental?
That's right, yes, yeah. And normally it's the physical, or obviously the psychological injuries far surpass the physical injury sustained. And many years, even though, the injuries heal, but many years on, people are still deeply affected. And I think that needs to be acknowledged, that time passes and people move on, and the support networks start to drift away, but these people are still deeply affected.